Hey guys! Welcome to the Rare Coins Explorers. Have you ever thought that a single penny hiding in your coin jar could be worth hundreds of dollars and change your perception about loose change forever? What if we told you that one seemingly ordinary 1972 South 1 center coin, a coin many have overlooked or spent without a second thought, could hold a shocking value of $693 due to its unique history, rare minting anomalies, and the intense demand it has stirred among collectors and experts alike? Welcome to this unbelievable yet true story that dives deep into the mystery and value of the 1972 Lincoln penny, a piece of American coinage that has turned heads, broken expectations, and shocked even experienced numismatists with its surprising financial and historical impact. Let's begin with what makes this coin not just valuable but iconic. It hails from the San Francisco Mint, which in 1972 was responsible for a more limited mintage compared to its Philadelphia and Denver counterparts, immediately making coins with the S Mint mark more desirable among collectors. But this isn't just about limited numbers. What catapults the 1972 penny into the spotlight is its error-prone production cycle. In an era when the U.S. Mint was rapidly producing coins under extreme pressure to meet demand, quality control sometimes slipped, leading to a variety of minting mistakes such as doubled dies, off-center strikes, die breaks, and other anomalies that became instantly attractive to collectors. The most notable and widely recognized error on some 1972 pennies, although primarily seen on the Philadelphia minted ones, is the famous doubled die verse, where the date, lettering like Liberty, and the phrase, "In God We Trust," appear clearly doubled. And while this variant is more common in the Philadelphia Mint, many experts have discovered similarly intriguing and subtle doubling and die-wear anomalies in the 1972 South version as well, particularly due to die fatigue and re-engraving practices used at the San Francisco facility during that era. Collectors began noticing subtle differences in strike quality, thickness of lettering, and even microscopic die polishing marks unique to the Mint, turning what seemed like normal pennies into targets for authentication, grading, and auction. Combine these mechanical anomalies with the rarity of pristine condition coins from this year, and what you get is a perfect storm of collector frenzy, historical curiosity, and skyrocketing value. Coins that survive in higher grades, such as Mint State 65, MS 65, and above, especially those certified by grading companies like PCGS or NGC, can command values well into the hundreds, with top specimens reaching up to $693 and potentially more in auctions as demand continues to rise with increasing awareness on social media platforms, YouTube videos, and coin hunting forums. The historical backdrop of 1972 also plays a role in the coin's intrigue. A time of economic uncertainty, rising inflation, and political tension in the U.S., this coin becomes more than just a piece of copper. It represents a slice of American history. Each minor flaw in the coin tells a story of the overworked mint, of mechanical imperfections, and of the human hands and eyes that may have missed these flaws in a rush to meet quotas. Yet today, collectors are zooming in with microscopes, analyzing images, and sharing discoveries with coin communities across the globe. Some collectors report finding subtle RPMs, repunched mint marks, where the S appears slightly overlapped from multiple strikes, an anomaly that adds not only character but substantial market value to the coin. Others speak of struck-through grease errors, die chips in Lincoln's eye or coat, ghost lettering from overused dies, and even machine doubling, all of which contribute to an explosion in collector demand, especially when these coins appear in uncirculated rolls or mint sets. As more people get involved in coin hunting, treasure seekers have begun scanning their change jars, old collections, inherited coin stashes, and eBay listings in hopes of finding their own 1972 penny treasure. This phenomenon has even sparked educational movements within the numismatic community, where professionals and amateurs alike host workshops, release error guides, and provide grading comparisons to help the public differentiate between common coins and rare gems. It's a race between knowledge and chance. Will you be the one to spot the needle in the haystack? Because the true beauty of this coin lies not just in its copper glow or historical age, but in the possibility that you or someone you know could be holding on to hundreds of dollars unknowingly. And let's not forget that even beyond the rare mint errors, the condition of the coin is paramount. Coins without fingerprints, scratches, or signs of wear command dramatically higher prices. The power of grading, authentication, and eye appeal cannot be overstated. Collectors are willing to pay top dollar for coins with lustrous finishes, sharp strikes, and attractive toning, especially when accompanied by certification labels noting special designations like red or red-brown, which directly affect the coin's resale value. Auction houses have seen bidding wars erupt over these coins, especially when accompanied by historical documentation or provenance, proving just how hot the 1972's penny market really is. So if you're sitting at home right now with a few old coins tucked away in a box, now is the time to dig them out, examine them under a magnifier, and research their origin, because what looks like an ordinary 1-cent piece might actually be worth hundreds. Every detail matters: the thickness of the rim, the sharpness of Lincoln's jawline, the spacing in the date, and the precise angle of the mint mark could mean the difference between face value and a small fortune. And beyond financial gain, owning such a coin connects you to a larger story: the history of American minting, the flaws of mass production, and the passion of collectors who understand that every coin has a story to tell. So whether you're new to coin collecting or a seasoned numismatist, the 1972 South 1 center coin stands as a symbol of hidden value, unexpected fortune, and historical fascination. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into rare and valuable coins, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another coin that could change your life. Next, 1984 1-cent coin. Imagine holding a small copper coin in your hand that looks just like any ordinary penny. But what if I told you that very coin, minted in 1984, could secretly be worth $234 or even far more depending on the condition, mint errors, or historical rarity it carries? And that's exactly why you need to pay close attention to every cent in your pocket, because it might just change your financial story forever. So before we dive into the astonishing details behind the 1984 1-cent USA coin that has turned heads in the collector world and shocked auction houses, don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button for more jaw-dropping coin revelations, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss another valuable piece of American history that might just be lying in your pocket or hidden in an old jar somewhere in your garage. Now let's unravel the rich tale of the 1984 Lincoln cent that's not just worth 1 cent but can soar up to hundreds of dollars due to very specific reasons that only seasoned collectors or the incredibly lucky stumble upon, and those reasons include rare minting anomalies, die breaks, double dies, off-center strikes, and especially the well-known and highly sought-after 1984 double die obverse, which is among the most famous and desirable errors in modern U.S. coinage because of the clear doubling seen on Lincoln's earlobe and parts of his face, which has made headlines among coin grading professionals and sparked bidding wars among enthusiasts across the globe. This double die is not just a casual error, it is distinct and can be seen with the naked eye, which makes it a standout among all the Lincoln cent varieties ever minted, and its fame comes from its unique misalignment during the minting process at the Philadelphia Mint, which led to this doubled image that many still search for today in rolls of pennies from banks, old coin jars, and inherited collections passed down through generations. But that's not the only thing that makes the 1984 penny worth more than its face value. In fact, the condition of the coin also plays a crucial role, and those that are in mint state condition, graded MS65 or higher by NGC or PCGS, can bring significant premiums even without an error. And when you add the double die variety on top of that, the value jumps even higher, with auction records showing these coins selling for well over $200 and sometimes approaching $1,000 depending on the rarity, eye appeal, and demand at the time, which means that a tiny penny sitting in your drawer could actually be a miniature fortune waiting to be discovered. Collectors also look for other features like strong strikes, full steps, luster, and absence of wear, which can increase the coin's desirability and value. Furthermore, the copper content of these coins, since they were made before the full switch to zinc cores in mid-1982, adds to their intrinsic value as well, with the 1984 cents still made with copper-plated zinc, but with transitional or experimental varieties still possibly appearing in circulation. And beyond just eras and conditions, what really fascinates numismatists about the 1984 penny is the historical context, being minted during Ronald Reagan's presidency and a time of economic change in the U.S., which adds a rich backdrop to the story of these coins. And every 1984 cent has a tale of mass production, but hidden within millions are the rare few that slipped through with imperfections or anomalies, making them the golden tickets for coin treasure hunters. Even the coins designed by Victor David Brenner, which has lasted for decades, carries sentimental and patriotic value for Americans, as the Lincoln cent has become a cultural icon recognized globally. Now imagine someone casually discovering this coin in their change from a grocery store, and then learning its value could help pay a utility bill, fill up a gas tank, or even put food on the table. And that is why knowledge of coin varieties and constant awareness when handling loose change can truly pay off in unexpected ways. And if you're wondering how to find these valuable pennies, your best bet is to carefully check all 1984 Lincoln cents for signs of doubling, especially on Lincoln's earlobe and facial features using a magnifying glass or a coin loop. And if you think you've found one, it's important to get it authenticated by a professional grading company to confirm the variety and get a value estimate. And once authenticated, you can choose to keep it in your collection as a historical artifact or auction it for potentially hundreds of dollars depending on market trends. And it's not just individual collectors who are hunting these coins. Entire coin roll hunting communities exist online where enthusiasts document their finds, share knowledge, and even trade or sell rare coins, including the 1984 double-die penny. So the buzz around this coin continues to grow with each new discovery and successful auction, and every story shared online inspires others to look more carefully at the humble penny. And for those who are new to coin collecting, the 1984 penny is a great starting point to understand the excitement and financial potential of the hobby. And while many people overlook coins under the assumption that all modern cents are too common to be valuable, the truth is that exceptions like this one prove that great finds are still out there and often hiding in plain sight, which means your next big break could be as close as your next pocket full of change. And while not every 1984 penny will be a jackpot, staying informed and aware could eventually lead you to one that is. And remember, many coin dealers, pawn shops, and auction houses are constantly seeking out these rarities and will pay a premium for verified era coins, especially those with doubling or other striking features. And beyond the collector market, coins like the 1984 double die have also become educational tools in schools and museums to teach people about minting processes, history, and the intricate details of U.S. currency, proving that this coin is more than just money. It's a piece of American heritage worth preserving and studying. And as time goes on and more of these coins are removed from circulation into private collections, the value and rarity of each remaining example will only increase. So if you come across a 1984 penny, don't toss it aside or spend it without a second look, because it might just be one of those rare examples that command top dollar in the marketplace. And this is why coin collecting continues to be a popular and potentially profitable hobby around the world, with new enthusiasts joining every day inspired by stories just like this one. And now that you know the secrets behind the 1984 1-cent coin and its astonishing potential to be worth $234 or more, you're better equipped to recognize the signs of value and start your own journey through the fascinating world of numismatics. So keep looking, keep learning, and don't forget to share this knowledge with friends and family who might unknowingly be holding on to a valuable treasure. And if you enjoyed uncovering the truth about this incredible coin and want more updates on rare and valuable coins from US history that could change your life, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned for more amazing discoveries that prove how even the smallest coins can hold the biggest secrets, because the 1984 1-cent USA coin with a face value of just 1 penny has made history by being worth $234, and that's the kind of story you don't want to miss. Next, 2001 cent coin. We uncover the hidden treasures in your pocket change, and today we have an exciting story that may surprise you and could potentially put some unexpected cash in your hands because, believe it or not, the humble 1-cent coin from the year 2000 might just be worth far more than its face value due to a series of fascinating errors, mistakes, and minting anomalies that have made certain examples of this coin sell for up to $65 or even more depending on their condition and the rarity of the error. So if you're someone who loves collecting coins or just stumbled across an old penny in your drawer and wondered if it's worth anything, stick around because you're going to want to hear all about the reasons why this 1-cent coin is so special and how a tiny minting mistake can translate into big money. Now let's dive into the world of the 2000 Lincoln cent, a coin that on the surface looks ordinary but hides a wealth of intrigue beneath its copper-plated zinc surface. Minted by the billions in the year 2000, the Lincoln cent featured the familiar bust of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, which had been a staple of American currency since 1909, and on the reverse it carried the Lincoln Memorial designed by Frank Isparo, a design that had been in circulation since 1959. But while most 2000 pennies are worth their face value or just a few cents more in circulated condition, there are rare varieties and errors that collectors hunt for and are willing to pay handsomely to obtain. One of the most well-known errors associated with the 2000 Lincoln cent is the wide AM variety. This error occurs when the spacing between the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse of the coin is wider than it should be, and this is due to the use of a proof reverse die on a business strike coin. What makes this error so special is its origin. The United States Mint creates different dies for proof coins which are struck for collectors and business strike coins which are meant for circulation. Sometimes a proof die is mistakenly used on business strikes, and that's exactly what happened in the case of the 2000 wide AM penny. Now what's fascinating is that this is not the first time this has happened. Similar wide AM varieties exist for the 1998 and 1999 pennies as well, but by 2000 the mint had largely corrected this issue, which makes the 2000 wide AM error even more desirable to collectors. And the reason why the spacing matters is because it helps identify which die was used, and since proof dies are supposed to be carefully handled and only used for limited high-quality coinage, having one used in mass circulation is a rare anomaly. But the wide AM is not the only anomaly found in 2000 Lincoln cents. Another sought-after error is the doubled die in these coins. The image on the coin appears to have been struck twice but slightly misaligned, which creates a doubling effect on the lettering or other features. This can happen on either the obverse or the reverse of the coin and can range from subtle to extremely dramatic when visible to the naked eye, and the doubling usually appears on the date, the word liberty, or the motto I in God we trust. And for experienced collectors, spotting a doubled die can be incredibly rewarding because depending on the severity and clarity of the doubling, these coins can sell for many times their face value. In fact, some doubled die coins from various years have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Although the doubled die for the 2000 penny is not as dramatic as some earlier years, it is still highly collectible, especially in uncirculated condition. Now let's talk about off-center strikes, which are another fascinating error found in some 2000 pennies. An off-center strike occurs when the coin blank, called a planchet, is not properly aligned with the dies during striking, causing the design to be off-center and leaving part of the coin blank or within incomplete design. The more off-center the strike, the more valuable the coin becomes, particularly if the date is still visible, which allows collectors to authenticate and attribute the coin correctly. Off-center 2000 pennies can fetch impressive premiums, especially those that are at least 50% off-center and have strong eye appeal. Then there are clipped planchets, which occur when a coin blank is improperly cut from the metal sheet and part of the coin is missing. This type of error can be easily spotted and often takes the form of a crescent-shaped clip or a straight edge if a neighboring coin blank was too close. The clipped planchet error is another favorite among collectors, and the rarity of such an error in combination with the 2000 date can add significant value. Another type of error involves die cracks and cuds, which are formed when the die used to strike the coins becomes damaged over time, resulting in raised lines or blobs of metal on the finished coin. These imperfections are often small but can grow larger with continued use of the damaged die. In 2000 Lincoln cents, die cracks often appear around Lincoln's head or in the reverse along the memorial columns, and cuds can form along the rim where part of the design appears to be missing or deformed. Both types of errors are collectible, and depending on their size and placement, they can command higher prices in the coin market. Then we have the intriguing world of transitional errors, where a coin is struck using materials or dies intended for a different year or denomination. Though not common with the 2000 penny, transitional errors can sometimes happen during years of composition changes or design modifications, and while the 2000 penny was still made with the standard copper-plated zinc composition introduced in 1982, it's always possible to find an off-metal strike such as a penny struck on a dime planchet, which would make it thinner, lighter, and often result in parts of the design being cut off. Such errors are extremely rare but highly prized by collectors and can sell for hundreds of dollars if authenticated. Similarly, some 2000 pennies may have been struck on foreign planchets, which occasionally find their way into the mint's machinery during production, leading to unexpected and collectible results. Adding to the value of these error coins is the condition or grade of the coin. Coins in mint state condition with no wear and strong strike details are always worth more than those that are worn or damaged, and when errors appear on uncirculated coins, their value can skyrocket, especially if the coin has been graded and certified by a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. For example, a 2000 wide AM penny in MS67 condition can easily reach or surpass the $65 mark at auction, while more common examples in lower grades might sell for $10 to $20. So it's always a good idea to examine your coins carefully, and if you think you've found an error coin, it may be worth sending it in for authentication. Another important factor in the value of a 2000 penny is the presence of machine doubling, which is different from true double die errors and occurs when the coin shifts slightly during the strike, causing a flat shelf-like doubling of the design elements. While machine doubling is less desirable to collectors, it's still interesting and can sometimes be confused with more valuable true doubling, so it's essential to learn the differences or consult an expert. Finally, it's worth noting that coin values are always influenced by supply and demand, and as more collectors become aware of the different errors found in 2000 pennies, the demand for high-quality examples continues to rise, driving prices up and making even small mistakes worth serious money in the right conditions. So whether you're new to coin collecting or a seasoned numismatist, it's worth taking a closer look at your spare change and pocket finds, because you never know when a simple 1-cent coin could end up being worth $65 or more. And that's the magic of numismatics. Every coin tells a story, and some stories are more valuable than others. So go ahead and check your coin jars, your drawers, and old piggy banks, because the 2001-cent coin hiding among your change might just be a rare treasure in disguise waiting to be discovered. And if you found this video helpful or fascinating, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more amazing coin discoveries, and let us know in the comments if you've ever come across an unusual penny in your collection, because we love hearing from fellow treasure hunters who understand that sometimes the smallest coins can hold the biggest surprises. And 1-cent 2000 USA coin in face value is $65 worth big money in history. Next, 2001 1-cent coin. Today's deep dive will completely redefine how you look at small change, because we're about to talk about a coin that many people overlook daily. Yet it could be worth over $106 simply because of some rare errors and unique minting characteristics that transformed a common piece of pocket change into a valuable collectible and a piece of numismatic history that has collectors racing to get their hands on it. So if you're holding on to a 2001 1-cent coin or plan to check your old jars, drawers, wallets, or even vending machines, then you might want to stay glued to every second of this, because the story behind the 2001 Lincoln penny is packed with mystery, detail, history, minting quirks, and market movement that can mean the difference between 1 cent and a small fortune. And before we begin, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe, because we're uncovering hidden value one coin at a time, and we don't want you to miss your next big find. Now let's explore exactly why the 2001 penny has become one of the most quietly sought-after pieces in the numismatic world, and how certain rare versions are being sold for $106 or more. Now first, let's understand that in 2001 the United States Mint produced Lincoln cents at 3 major locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, with billions of coins issued that year. Which might make you think they're all common and insignificant, but as is often the case in numismatics, the devil is in the details. And the real value lies in the mistakes, imperfections, and the fascinating anomalies that slipped past quality control and became collector gold. Some of these mistakes include things like double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die clashes, cut breaks, BI errors, missing letters, misaligned dies, and even transitional metal planchet errors, and each one of these errors, depending on its severity, location on the coin, and overall condition, can increase the coin's value dramatically. Let's take for example the double die error, which remains one of the most popular error types among collectors. In 2001 there have been reported examples of double die obverse pennies where Abraham Lincoln's profile, the word liberty, the motto I in God we trust, or the date 2001 appears slightly duplicated due to a misalignment during the die creation process. These doubled images are sometimes subtle but under magnification become more apparent, and even small doubling that's barely visible to the naked eye can increase the coin's value into the double or even triple digits. Next we have off-center strikes which occur when the planchet, the blank metal disc that becomes the coin, is not properly centered between the dies during striking, resulting in a coin where part of the design is missing or pushed toward the edge. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the more valuable it is. Especially if the date is still fully visible, collectors love dramatic off-centers that retain a visible mint mark and date, and there have been 2001 pennies with as much as 40% off-center strikes fetching over $100 depending on condition. Then there's the broad strike error which occurs when the retaining collar that keeps the coin the correct size fails, causing the coin to spread out wider and flatter than normal. While still showing a full design, these coins look odd and unusual, and collectors pay a premium for such visual deviations from standard coinage. Another interesting anomaly is the die clash, which happens when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghost-like impressions of the reverse design on the obverse die and vice versa. And when these clashed dies are used to strike coins, the resulting errors are fascinating and prized, especially when clearly visible. The 2001 penny has had reported instances of such clash marks, especially with parts of the Lincoln Memorial appearing faintly on the obverse field or behind Lincoln's portrait. Then we come to the cut error, which results when a portion of the die breaks off, leaving a raised blob or deformity on the struck coin where the missing part was. These can range from small blobs to large malformed areas, and many collectors find them highly desirable because no two cut errors are exactly alike. A large cut on a 2001 penny, especially one near the rim or affecting lettering, can easily fetch values above $100. Let's not forget about the BI error, a fan favorite among Lincoln cent collectors. This error gets its name from a tiny vertical die break that appears between the letters B and E in Liberty on the obverse of the coin, making it look like it spells BIE. This die break is caused by stress on the die over time, and while common across many Lincoln cents, the presence of a crisp, full BIE on a 2001 penny in high condition is very collectible and can command a premium. Now, in addition to these visual and structural errors, one of the most valuable types of error is the transitional planchet error, which happens when a coin is struck on a planchet intended for a previous or future year's metal composition. While most 2001 cents were struck on the standard copper-plated zinc planchets used since 1982, it's theoretically possible that transitional errors could occur, such as a coin struck on a leftover blank of a different alloy, such as the copper coins used pre-1982, or even foreign blanks accidentally fed into the machine. Such coins are extremely rare but have been documented in various other years, and if such a version of the 2001 penny were discovered, its value could skyrocket well beyond $106, possibly into the thousands depending on the exact metallurgical mismatch and the rarity of the mistake. Then there's the misaligned die error, where the obverse die, usually the hammer die, is slightly tilted or off-center, causing the obverse design to be shifted while the reverse remains centered, creating a creeping image effect that makes Lincoln appear oddly positioned. And when the shift is dramatic enough and the coin is in great shape, it can increase its value significantly, sometimes being sold well above the $100 mark. Another rare possibility is a coin struck on the wrong planchet entirely, such as a blank intended for a dime or foreign coin. This results in a 2001 penny that's the wrong weight, color, or size, and such a coin is so visually different and striking that collectors are willing to pay top dollar to own one. There have been examples in other years where cents were struck on dime planchets, resulting in smaller coins missing portions of the design, and if any 2001 version of this type of error were found, the price could easily exceed $106 and perhaps reach $500 or more depending on rarity and demand. Now let's consider the impact of grade and condition. Because errors alone don't always guarantee a high price unless the coin is also in a good state of preservation. The Sheldon coin grading scale ranges from PUR 1 to mint state 70, and for error coins, anything graded above MS 63 is considered especially valuable. So a 2001 penny with a dramatic error in mint state red condition, meaning it retains its original copper red luster without discoloration, can be a jackpot for collectors. Especially if certified by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. And speaking of certification, encapsulating the coin in a tamper-proof slab with a unique identification number increases buyer confidence and can multiply its market value. Plus, auction sales often drive prices up due to competitive bidding among passionate collectors, and recent trends show a growing interest in modern coin errors, especially Lincoln cents, as younger generations enter the hobby and social media spreads awareness of valuable finds, pushing demand higher and making even recent year coins like the 2001 penny more desirable than ever. And all of this drives home a critical point. Error coins aren't about age, they're about uniqueness, visibility, and demand, and the 2001 penny ticks all these boxes when the right combination of flaws and condition align. From subtle double dies to dramatic off-center or misstruck examples, every small defect is an opportunity. So whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, it pays, literally, to check your change. And if you find a 2001 penny with any of the signs we've mentioned today, you could be looking at $106 or more in value from something most people overlook entirely. So don't forget to examine your coins under a good light, use a magnifying glass, weigh them if possible, and compare them with known errors listed in coin guides or online databases, because the next valuable discovery could be waiting in your pocket right now, and who knows, it might not just be worth $106. It could be a life-changing mistake from the mint. So if you enjoyed this deep dive into the hidden value of the 2001 Lincoln penny, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you're always one step ahead of the next rare coin discovery. Until next time, keep checking your change and treasure the hunt, because 1 cent 2001 USA coin and face value is $106 worth big money in history. Next, 2016 1 cent coin. Today we're diving deep into a surprising and valuable discovery that's making waves in the numismatic community, because if you've ever come across a simple penny from the year 2016 and thought it wasn't worth keeping, you might want to take a closer look, because the 2016 Lincoln 1 cent coin has turned out to be worth much more than its face value due to an astonishing variety of errors, mistakes, and minting irregularities that have collectors scrambling to find and authenticate these hidden gems, which are currently selling for up to $42 or even more in some cases. And we're not just talking about rare proofs or special editions, but regular circulation coins that exhibit certain characteristics and flaws, turning them into prized possessions for collectors. So if you're curious about how a modern penny can fetch that kind of money, and what you should be looking for in your pocket change, then buckle up, because this is going to be an eye-opening, an in-depth journey into the small world of 1 cent coins with big value. Starting with the basics, the 2016 Lincoln cent continued the same general design that had been in place since 2010, with the obverse featuring the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner and first introduced in 1909, and the reverse showing the Union Shield introduced in 2010, which symbolizes President Lincoln's efforts to preserve the Union during the Civil War. This coin was struck in huge numbers by the Philadelphia and Denver mints using copper-plated zinc composition, which has been the standard since 1982, and while billions of these coins were made, the real intrigue lies in the few thousand or even hundreds that were struck incorrectly due to mechanical malfunction, human error, or unexpected issues during the minting process, which ultimately created a treasure trove of rare and valuable error coins, hiding in plain sight among the billions of ordinary pennies. The first type of error to know about is the double die error, which is one of the most famous and popular types of minting errors among collectors, and this error occurs when the coin die itself receives a misaligned image during the hubbing process, resulting in a design that appears doubled in certain areas, most often on the date, the motto "I in God We Trust," the word liberty, or other lettering and design elements. And while doubled dies are rare in modern coins they are not impossible, and a number of 2016 Lincoln cents have been discovered with slight to moderate doubling, especially on the obverse, with some examples exhibiting strong doubling on Liberty and the motto, which makes them significantly more valuable to collectors, and depending on the visibility of the doubling and the condition of the coin, these can easily fetch prices up to or beyond $42, especially when certified by a grading service. But doubled dies aren't the only errors worth noting, because another major class of collectible mistakes includes off-center strikes, which occur when the planchet or coin blank is not properly seated in the coining chamber, leading to a final strike that is misaligned and partially blank. Off-center errors are measured by the percentage of the design that is missing, with coins showing 50% or more off-center strikes often commanding a much higher premium, particularly if the date is still fully visible, which is essential for proper attribution. So a 2016 penny that's off-center by 40 to 60% with a clear date and mint mark can easily exceed the $42 mark, especially if the error is dramatic and visually appealing to collectors. Then there are clipped planchet errors, which happen when the blank metal discs used to strike coins are cut too close together, resulting in one or more coins missing a portion of their edge, and these clips can be straight, curved, or irregular depending on the nature of the miscut. And while this kind of error is more common than some others, it's still rare enough to attract attention when it appears on newer coins such as those from 2016, and if the clip is large and the coin is otherwise in uncirculated condition, it becomes even more desirable and valuable, adding another dimension to the variety of valuable error types found in these seemingly ordinary pennies. Another striking error to look out for is a die crack, which occurs when the die used to strike the coin develops a fissure or crack that leaves raised lines or shapes on the finished coin. And while small die cracks are common and not usually worth much more than face value, more dramatic cracks that run across major design elements or span large portions of the coin can become highly collectible, and 2016 pennies have been found with substantial die cracks, especially on the obverse near Lincoln's head or running through the shield on the reverse, which add a unique and visually distinctive feature that many collectors seek out. Die chips, which are small blobs of extra metal caused by damage or deterioration of the die, can also form near lettering or design features, and in some cases can be significant enough to raise collector interest, particularly when they occur in odd or amusing places, such as forming what appears to be a tear on Lincoln's face or an extra blob on the shield. And while small chips may not be worth a fortune, multiple or large die chips, especially in mint state coins, can help push values toward or beyond the $42 range. And one of the more interesting aspects of modern coin collecting is that these error coins can sometimes escape detection for years and only become widely known after a few vigilant collectors begin noticing the patterns. Another significant factor affecting the value of 2016 pennies is the phenomenon of coins being struck on the wrong planchet, such as a penny being struck on a dime blank or a foreign coin blank due to a mint error. And these off-metal errors are incredibly rare, but they do happen and result in coins that are thinner, lighter, or smaller than normal, and often have parts of the design cut off or missing entirely, which makes them extremely noticeable and very collectible, with prices soaring well beyond $42 when found and authenticated by grading services. Also valuable are misaligned die errors, where the dies do not properly align when striking the coin, resulting in one side of the coin being shifted, usually the obverse, while the reverse remains centered. And although minor misalignments may not drastically increase value, major misaligned die strikes, especially those that are visible without magnification, can command premiums in the coin market, particularly for modern dates like 2016, where fewer such dramatic examples exist. Another common issue is machine doubling, which, unlike true doubled die errors, occurs when the coin shifts slightly during the strike and causes a flat shelf-like doubling on the letters or numbers. And while machine doubling is not as valuable as true doubling, it is often mistaken for it, and can still be a point of interest for novice collectors, and identifying the difference is key to understanding whether you have a coin worth a premium, or just a quirky strike condition. But don't overlook strike-through errors, which happen when a foreign object like grease, fabric, or metal shavings comes between the die and the planchet during striking, resulting in a distorted or missing area of the design. And strike-through errors are often unique in appearance, and depending on what material caused the strike-through and how it affects the coin's visual impact, they can be quite collectible and add to the intrigue and value of a 2016 penny, particularly when the design is noticeably altered and still shows a full date and mint mark, and if the error is large or dramatic enough, collectors may pay a significant premium for the coin, especially if it is in uncirculated condition, which brings us to the importance of coin grading. Because condition plays a massive role in determining a coin's value, and a 2016 penny with an error that might be worth $10 to $15 in circulated condition could fetch $42 or more in mint state condition with strong luster, clean fields, and minimal contact marks, and collectors looking to maximize the value of their coins should consider submitting promising finds to professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, which can provide authentication as well as a numeric grade. That helps buyers and sellers agree on pricing more easily, and beyond the mechanical errors and striking anomalies, some 2016 pennies have also surfaced with anomalies related to the plating process, such as improper copper plating or exposed zinc where the copper coating is thin, missing, or uneven, and these planchet-related issues create a distinct visual effect, and while not always valuable on their own, when combined with other errors, they can make a coin more desirable, and collectors often seek out these oddities to fill out their error collections. And as demand for modern error coins grows, particularly those from the last 2 decades, we're seeing values rise across the board, especially for coins in high grade with eye-catching errors and strong collector interest. And the best part is that these coins can still be found in circulation today, which means your next trip to the grocery store could yield a rare and valuable penny hiding in your change jar. And what's even more exciting is that as awareness grows about the collectability and value of error coins from recent years, more people are getting into the hobby, leading to increased demand and higher prices for high-quality examples of coins like the 2016 Lincoln Cent, and whether you're a long-time collector. Next, 2017 D1 cent coin. Today we're about to uncover the surprising story behind a coin you've probably seen 100 times before but never realized could be worth significantly more than face value, and might even bring in as much as $47 or more, simply because of its unique errors and minting mistakes that make it highly sought after by collectors and enthusiasts across the globe. So if you're holding onto a 2017 D1 cent coin minted in Denver, or happen to find one in your pocket change junk drawer or rolled coin bundle from the bank, then stick with us through this epic exploration of all the reasons why this seemingly ordinary penny might actually be worth big money. And just before we begin, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, because we are dedicated to uncovering hidden treasures hiding in plain sight that can change the way you look at your spare change forever. And now let's get straight into it, because the 2017 D penny, while recent in age, has already cemented itself as a significant point of interest among numismatists due to a fascinating combination of production volume, minting errors, overlooked details, and general market interest in error coins from the modern era, which is booming thanks to increased accessibility to information and a growing number of collectors who are paying attention to the fine details and quirks that can turn a common coin into a collectible asset. So the 2017 D penny is part of the Lincoln Shield cent series, which was introduced in 2010 and continues the long-running depiction of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side with the shield on the reverse, intended to represent the preservation of the United States as a single union after the Civil War. And while the design itself is not rare or unusual, what makes the 2017 D penny valuable are the myriad errors and minting anomalies that occurred during production, particularly at the Denver Mint, where a number of faulty dies and striking issues led to a surprising number of collectible variants. And one of the most commonly reported and documented errors for the 2017 D penny is the double die error, especially on the obverse, where collectors have found noticeable doubling in the inscriptions like "I in God We Trust Liberty" and the date 2017, as well as on Lincoln's eye hair and jawline, which under magnification appear distorted, layered, or blurry, giving away the telltale signs of a double die caused by the hubbing process being slightly misaligned, which results in these doubled images being transferred to the dies and then to the struck coins. And although some doubled dies are very dramatic, even the more subtle ones, when verified by grading services like PCGS or NGC, can result in increased value, often making the coin worth $30 to $47 or even more in higher grades. And another error worth discussing is the off-center strike, which is one of the most visually noticeable and therefore popular types of mint error, in which the coin is not properly centered during the striking process, resulting in part of the design being cut off or missing entirely. And while minor off-centers of just a few percent are not extremely valuable, more dramatic examples of 40 to 60% off-center, where the date and mint mark are still visible are considered premium finds and can fetch values well beyond $47, especially when they're in mint state red condition, which means they retain the original coppery luster without signs of circulation or damage. And then there are broad strikes, which occur when the retaining collar that holds the planchet in place during the strike fails or is missing entirely, causing the metal to spread outward more than usual and resulting in a flatter and wider coin without a defined rim, which is instantly recognizable to those familiar with coin shapes and has become a desirable mint error due to its uniqueness and eye appeal. And in the case of the 2017 penny, a number of such broad strike errors have been documented and are known to sell between $25 and $60 depending on condition and clarity of the strike. And let's not forget die cracks and die chips, which are both common in pennies but particularly interesting when they take on unusual or large formations such as the cud, which is a raised blob of metal on the rim or coin surface that results from a piece of the die actually breaking off, leaving a cavity that fills with metal during the strike. And this not only results in a malformed coin but one that is technically unique because no two cut errors are identical. And in the 2017 pennies, collectors have found some dramatic cut errors, especially around the rim near the date or the shield, which makes them visually appealing and often fetches a premium among error collectors who enjoy building collections of such mistakes. And then we have die clash errors, which occur when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, transferring parts of the opposing design onto each die, resulting in ghostly imprints of reverse elements on the obverse side or vice versa. And while not as common as other errors, die clash examples have been found on the 2017 penny, with parts of the shield appearing faintly behind Lincoln's portrait, which creates a fascinating layered visual that numismatists love to study and preserve. And when paired with a high grade, these die clash errors can also reach the $47 range or higher in some sales. And another particularly popular error category is the BIE error, named for a small vertical die break that appears between the letters B and E in Liberty, forming what looks like the word BIE. And while these were most common in mid-20th century pennies, modern BIE errors still occur. In 2017 examples have been spotted by dedicated collectors, especially among large bulk rolls where repetitive die use begins to show signs of breakdown. And these quirky micro errors are often collected as part of full BIE sets and are a testament to the complexity of the minting process, that something so small can become so valuable. And then there are strike-through errors, which occur when a foreign object such as grease, thread, wire, or debris gets between the die and planchet during the strike, resulting in an indentation or distorted design feature that marks the coin permanently. And these can range from barely noticeable to extreme design loss, and depending on the nature of the object that caused the strike-through and how visible the resulting damage is, values can rise significantly. And the 2017 penny has seen several examples of grease-filled dies causing parts of the lettering or shield to appear missing, faint, or warped. And these kinds of errors are particularly deceptive to the untrained eye and often mistaken for post-mint damage, but when verified as genuine, they can command impressive prices. And there's also the possibility of a 2017 penny being struck on an incorrect planchet, which is extremely rare but not impossible, where a penny is accidentally struck on a blank intended for a dime, or a foreign coin, resulting in incorrect size, weight, and color. And these are often discovered by weighing coins and comparing dimensions to standard specs. And while rare, these off-metal strikes are prized among error coin collectors and can easily reach well into the hundreds, especially if authenticated and preserved in top condition. And don't overlook small anomalies like misaligned dies, where one die, usually the obverse, is slightly off during the strike, resulting in a coin that appears tilted or skewed. And while subtle, these kinds of misalignments create visual distortions, especially along the rim and design edge, which when pronounced and paired with good condition can bump a coin's value significantly. And with the 2017 penny being mass-produced with high-speed machinery, there's ample room for such mechanical errors to have occurred in small batches. And then when we turn our attention to condition, it becomes even more important, because error coins that are in mint state or better condition command higher premiums due to their rarity and eye appeal. And the Sheldon grading scale, which runs from poor 1 to mint state 70, is used by collectors and grading agencies to determine a coin's condition, and the difference between a circulated example of an error coin and an MS-66 red version of the same error can be a difference of $20 or more, so it's always worth having potential fines evaluated, especially by reputable third-party grading services that certify and encapsulate coins, which not only preserves them but also increases their resale value due to increased buyer trust. And we're seeing more and more of these modern-era coins being listed on auction platforms and selling for increasing amounts as collector demand grows and social media awareness continues to push coin collecting into a new era where even coins from recent years like the 2017 D-penny are under scrutiny for valuable oddities, and this shift is transforming the perception that only old coins have value when in fact coins minted just a few years ago might be worth more than you think, especially if they contain clear, dramatic, or rare mint errors that collectors are searching for. So it pays literally and figuratively to check your change carefully, inspect every detail from Lincoln's bow tie to the shield's horizontal lines, and use tools like magnifying glasses, digital calipers, and accurate gram scales to verify potential anomalies, because the 2017 D-penny might be one of the modern era's biggest under-the-radar success stories in numismatics. Next, 2000 D1 coin. We are diving deep into the fascinating world of a tiny copper-plated zinc coin that has become a surprising gem in the eyes of collectors and numismatists alike. The 2000 D Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin that has unexpectedly skyrocketed in value and can now fetch up to $72 or more under the right circumstances. All thanks to a range of rare errors and mistakes that elevate its status far beyond its humble 1-cent face value. And in this detailed and immersive journey, we will explore every known anomaly, every plausible minting mishap, and every collectible quirk that transforms this seemingly ordinary coin into an object of curiosity, excitement, and significant financial potential for those lucky enough to find one hiding in their pocket change, coin jar, or tucked away in an old drawer, because while millions were minted, only a select few carry the telltale signs of value-boosting flaws that make collectors' hearts race, beginning with the most iconic errors associated with the 2000 D-penny, such as off-center strikes where the coin blank was not properly aligned in the coin press, resulting in a visibly shifted design that can range from a slight misalignment to an extreme offset where portions of Lincoln's portrait or the date are missing or dramatically askew, an error that significantly raises a coin's worth depending on how far the strike is off-center, with more dramatic examples being both rarer and more valuable. And then we have double dies, a term that sends shivers of anticipation through the collector community. And while the 2000 D-penny does not have as famous a double die as the 1955 or 1969 S versions, there are subtle and often overlooked variations on the reverse and obverse, particularly around the inscriptions like "Liberty, in God We Trust," and the date, where doubling of letters and numbers becomes visible under magnification, indicating a misalignment in the die creation process that essentially stamps the design twice, slightly out of sync, and these are often overlooked by casual observers but command premiums from informed buyers, especially those that are confirmed by third-party grading agencies. And another striking error is the presence of die cracks or die breaks, which occur when a die begins to fracture and those fractures are transferred onto the coin's surface during the minting process, appearing like raised lines or jagged areas that don't belong and are not part of the original design. And the 2000 D-pennies are known to occasionally exhibit such flaws, particularly across Lincoln's face, coat, or the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, and depending on the severity and placement of these die cracks, collectors may be willing to pay a premium well beyond normal circulated coin rates. And speaking of die-related errors, the 2000 D-penny has also seen examples of cuts, which happen when a piece of the die actually breaks off, leaving a blank area on the coin that gets filled with metal during striking, creating a blob-like feature that interrupts the design, a dramatic and collectible error that's not only interesting visually but also somewhat rare, thereby increasing a coin's desirability. And then there are examples of strike-through errors where foreign materials such as grease, cloth, or even stray metal fragments obstruct the die during minting, resulting in coins that bear smeared, missing, or faint details, making them highly unique and thus collectible. And while such errors are not limited to the 2000 D-penny, their presence on this year's coin adds another layer of intrigue and potential value. And we also can't ignore the influence of improper planchet errors, which refer to instances where the coin is struck on a blank intended for a different denomination or metal composition, for example a penny being struck on a dime planchet, causing it to be smaller in diameter and missing parts of the design, and although rare, when a 2000 penny exhibits this kind of mint mistake, it becomes a show-stopping piece in any collection and can command significant auction prices depending on the rarity and condition. And moving further into the less visually dramatic but equally important details, let's talk about the importance of mint luster, strike quality, and condition. As coins that may not have dramatic errors can still be worth big money if they are in mint state condition, especially MS65 or higher, where the coin retains full original luster, has sharp design details, and is free from contact marks. And when these flawless coins happen to also have even the smallest variety or anomaly, such as a slightly misaligned die, a subtle doubling, or unique toning, the value can climb exponentially due to their rarity. And speaking of toning, natural color variations caused by the coin's exposure to air, moisture, or environmental conditions can result in highly appealing hues like blues, purples, or iridescent surfaces, which are visually striking and can enhance a coin's desirability, especially among niche collectors who focus on aesthetic uniqueness. And let's not forget about transitional errors, which occur when the US Mint changes designs or metal compositions. And although the 2000 penny was part of the stable design period before the 2009 redesigns, there have been rumors and isolated claims of test strikes or off-metal strikes intended for upcoming changes, and any verified transitional errors involving a 2000 penny could be of immense value and historical importance. And then there's the impact of misaligned dies, where the obverse and reverse don't line up properly, causing one side of the coin to appear rotated or tilted compared to the other, and even a small degree of die rotation, especially when dramatic, can make a coin more valuable, particularly if it's authenticated and preserved well. And let's also consider that errors such as broad strikes, where the coin is struck outside the collar and expands beyond its intended diameter, and clipped planchets, where part of the blank is missing before the coin is struck, create very distinct shapes that collectors love to add to their error coin portfolios. And even though these types of errors are rare for the 2000 penny, when they are found, they always spark interest and often trigger competitive bidding. And all of these varieties and errors are part of what makes numismatics so thrilling, where one penny could be just a penny, or a portal to a small fortune, and the true joy is in the hunt, in examining those coins closely, learning the signs, identifying the oddities, and understanding that even among billions of coins produced, human error, machine wear, and chance combine to create a handful of standout pieces. And the 2000 penny has turned out to be one of those years where small anomalies can lead to large paydays. Whether it's from a striking misalignment, die deterioration, or an unintentional double die, and especially when these flawed coins are found in high grade, preserved carefully, or certified by professional grading services, the marketplace value can easily hit or exceed $72, particularly when collectors or error specialists are actively searching for such pieces to complete their collections or expand their holdings. And in recent years, interest in error coins has surged due to viral social media posts, televised auction results, and online marketplaces that make it easier than ever to sell, trade, and verify the authenticity of such coins, leading to a reinvigorated wave of attention on common-date pennies like the 2000 that suddenly aren't so common after all. And as more people become aware of these potential treasures hiding in plain sight, the value of well-known error varieties climbs steadily, meaning that what may seem like a trivial oddity to one person could represent a once-in-a-lifetime find for another. And this is what fuels the world of coin collecting today: possibility, excitement, and the knowledge that sometimes extraordinary worth is hidden in the smallest, most overlooked corners of our everyday lives. And so whether you are a seasoned numismatist or a beginner casually examining change from your daily transactions, keep your eyes open and your magnifying glass handy. Because the 2000 penny that costs only 1 cent to spend might actually be worth $72 or more if it contains one of these fascinating and financially rewarding minting errors. So thank you for being with us today as we explored the full story and collectible power behind this seemingly ordinary yet remarkably valuable little coin. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more discoveries, more hidden treasures, and more incredible stories from the world of rare and valuable coins that might just be sitting in your pocket right now. Next, 2010 1-cent coin. We're going to take a deep dive into one such incredible discovery, the 2010 Lincoln 1-cent coin, which in certain unique era forms has been valued by collectors and enthusiasts alike at as much as $87 despite its face value of just a single cent. And the question that immediately comes to mind is, how can such a common modern penny hold such a surprising value in today's numismatic market? What kinds of errors and production anomalies have contributed to this dramatic leap in worth? And how can you identify if your 2010 penny is one of these rare gems worth significantly more than its denomination? So let's begin by understanding the broader context of the 2010 Lincoln penny. Minted following the celebrated 2009 bicentennial year that marked the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth and the 100th anniversary of the Lincoln cent, which introduced collectors and the general public to 4 distinct reverse designs in 2009 symbolizing different phases of Lincoln's life. But in 2010, the Mint unveiled a brand new reverse design for the cent featuring the Union Shield, a representation intended to symbolize Lincoln's preservation of the United States as a single, unified nation during the Civil War, and this shield design replaced the long-standing Lincoln Memorial design that had appeared on the reverse of the penny since 1959. Meaning the 2010 cent was the first full-year release featuring the new Union Shield reverse. And while billions of these coins were minted at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, making them seem quite ordinary at first glance, the devil is in the details, and those rare details are what collectors constantly hunt for: specific errors, anomalies, and misstrikes that occurred during the coin's production process, which convert a mass-produced coin into a unique, high-value collector's item. And when we explore the kinds of errors found in 2010 pennies that can escalate their value from 1 cent to over $80, we're talking about dramatic and minor varieties of die errors, planchet flaws, double dies, off-center strikes, misaligned dies, die clashes, cut breaks, and more, beginning with perhaps the most talked about error in the 2010 penny, the double die obverse, or DDO, which occurs when the die used to strike the design onto the coin's surface shifts or rotates between hubbings, resulting in a visible doubling of design elements on the coin's face, most often seen in the inscriptions such as "I in God We Trust," "Liberty," or the date 2010 itself. And while minor doubling can occur in many coins, strong doubling is what excites collectors and raises the coin's desirability and market value dramatically. And several known examples of the 2010 penny have shown doubling, particularly around the word liberty and the motto "I in God We Trust." Though many of these can go unnoticed by casual observers unless inspected closely with a magnifier, and yet when identified, such coins can fetch between $25 to $87 depending on the strength and clarity of the doubling. And then there are errors involving the reverse of the coin, the Union Shield side, where die cracks and die breaks have been discovered affecting the lines of the shield, the central vertical bars, or even the lettering such as 1 cent and United States of America. With collectors noting how some of these die cracks appear like raised lines or even dramatic breaks that look like veins crossing the shield or splitting design elements apart, and such visual irregularities are not just fascinating to look at but also increase the uniqueness and hence the value of the coin significantly, especially when they are retained die breaks, commonly referred to as cut errors, where a portion of the die breaks off and leaves a blob-like area on the coin during striking. And 2010 cents with these cut errors near the rim, or affecting letters like the U in United or E in cent, have been known to sell for high premiums online and at coin shows, particularly when the break is large or well-centered. Another fascinating error that adds significant value to the 2010 penny is the off-center strike, which occurs when the coin blank is not properly centered during the striking process, leading to a coin that has part of the design missing or shifted. And while minor off-center strikes of just 1 to 3% may not be worth much, dramatic off-center strikes of 10% or more, especially those that still show the full date, are extremely collectible, with 2010 off-center pennies with 40 to 60% misalignment selling for well over $50 to $87 depending on condition and visibility of key design features. And another related error is the misaligned die strike, where either the obverse or reverse die is slightly shifted during minting, causing one side of the coin to appear off-kilter. And while this is more subtle than an off-center strike, it's still a desirable flaw among collectors, particularly when combined with other errors like doubling or die cracks. And let's not forget the role that planchet flaws play in adding value to a penny, since the planchet, the blank metal disc onto which a coin design is struck, can sometimes be flawed before entering the coining press, and such flaws include improper alloy mix, resulting in coins with discolored patches, or lamination errors where a layer of metal peels off the coin's surface like flaking paint, and 2010 pennies with clear lamination errors have been found with dramatic peeling along the edge or surface area, especially in high points of the design like Lincoln's bust or the shield, and these can demand anywhere from $25 to $70 depending on the size and location of the flaw. And speaking of Lincoln's bust, die clashes involving his portrait and parts of the Union shield have also occurred when dies strike each other without a coin between them, leaving behind ghostly outlines of design elements transferred from one die to another, and when a coin is subsequently struck using those damaged dies, faint outlines of the reverse shield might appear on Lincoln's face or neck area, or vice versa, and such 2010 clash errors, especially when prominent, are highly sought after and drive up coin value among error enthusiasts. And as we dig deeper, we also discover the importance of mint mark anomalies where the D for Denver or P for Philadelphia shows signs of repunching or overpunching, called RPM or repunched mint mark, where the mint mark appears to be struck more than once in slightly different positions or rotations, creating a shadow-like doubling effect under close magnification. And although less dramatic than a double die, these RPMs are valued by collectors for their rarity and technical interest. And examples from the Denver Mint in 2010 have surfaced where the D mint mark shows doubling or shifts, and those coins in excellent condition are increasingly being sold for upwards of $40 to $87. And speaking of condition, the grade and luster of the coin play a huge role in its valuation too, because even among error coins, collectors prefer examples that are uncirculated, shiny, and free from scratches or post-mint damage, with mint state 65 or higher examples commanding the best prices. And finding a 2010 penny with a rare error in pristine condition is what pushes its value to the higher end of the spectrum. And with so many types of errors, be it die doubling, off-center strikes, lamination flaws, die cracks, die clashes, misaligned dies, cut breaks, planchet defects, or mint mark anomalies, the 2010 penny becomes a rich field of possibilities for collectors and everyday coin hunters alike, because even a coin as recent and common as one from 2010 can be hiding secrets that make it incredibly valuable. And if you have coin rolls at home or old piggy banks lying around, it's worth inspecting your pennies closely because you never know when you'll come across one of these rare, high-value error coins, and if you do, you could be holding a coin that turns your 1 cent into a potential $87 treasure, and that's what makes coin collecting so exciting and rewarding. Not just the potential monetary gain, but the thrill of discovery and the appreciation of the minting process and its imperfections, which transform everyday objects into historical artifacts of great interest. And as we wrap up this journey through the fascinating world of the 2010 1-cent coin and its many valuable errors, remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a chance to learn about the hidden gems in your change and the stories behind America's most surprising coins. Next, 2002 D 1-cent coin. Today we're diving deep into one of the most talked about, often overlooked, yet incredibly valuable coins in recent U.S. minting history. The 2002 D Lincoln 1-cent coin, a penny that astonishingly has been appraised and sold by collectors for up to $96 due to the wide range of striking errors, die anomalies, and production mishaps that have turned an otherwise ordinary coin into a golden opportunity for those lucky enough to spot one in their change jars or old coin rolls. And as always, if you love discovering these hidden gems and learning what gives a simple penny a value nearly 10,000 times its face worth, Make sure you stay tuned because this is a story of minting imperfections, mechanical malfunctions, die deterioration, double strikes, off-center impressions, and much more, where every detail might just be the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and a miniature fortune. And now let's explore the 2002 D penny, minted in Denver, why it's worth so much, what errors to look for, how these mistakes happened, and why collectors continue to pay a premium for specific varieties of this fascinating cent that's become legendary among those who know what to look for, starting with the well-known off-center strikes, which are among the most visually obvious and striking errors, often occurring when a coin is not properly aligned within the minting press, causing the design elements, such as Lincoln's profile, the date, and the word Liberty, to appear shifted or partially missing, and depending on the degree of off-centering, especially in the range of 50% off-center with the date still visible, these coins can easily fetch anywhere between $25 to $96 or even more depending on their condition and rarity. And then we have the classic die crack and die break errors, which occur when the dies used to stamp the coins develop fractures from overuse or improper handling, causing raised lines, ridges, or even retained cut errors to appear on the finished coin, particularly around Lincoln's bust, the motto, "In God We Trust," or the reverse shield and the word, 1 cent. And while many might dismiss such features as damage, trained eyes know that these are mint-caused issues which add significant value to the coin because they provide a glimpse into the high-speed, high-pressure world of coin production, where even small material weaknesses can result in dramatically flawed coins being released into circulation. And among these die-related anomalies, collectors have also reported the presence of die chips, tiny blobs of extra metal that form due to debris, grease, or other blockages interfering with the strike process, commonly found in Lincoln's eye, mouth, or the corners of the letters and numerals, giving rise to nicknames like the Spitting Lincoln or Drooling Lincoln varieties. And while these may seem humorous, they are taken seriously in the numismatic community and can be worth upwards of $40, $75 depending on the size, clarity, and location of the chip. And it doesn't stop there, because many 2002 D cents also exhibit doubling, most notably in the date, mint mark, and lettering, a result of a misalignment between the die and planchet during the minting process that causes a doubled image known as a doubled die, a feature that adds not only intrigue but tremendous value, as some collectors report paying as much as $90, $96 for sharply struck doubled die varieties where the doubling is prominent and verified through a loupe or microscope. And though rarer, there are also reports of repunched mint marks or RPMs, a fascinating variety that occurs when the D mint mark is punched more than once in slightly different positions, often visible to the naked eye or under magnification. And this type of error has long been a favorite among serious collectors because it represents a procedural flaw from before the era when mint marks were incorporated directly into the dies rather than added separately, making these coins a living example of changing minting practices and the inevitable hiccups that came with them. And speaking of changing practices, the 2002 D penny also sits in a transitional phase where issues like weak strikes and improper alloy mixing were still being documented, which led to strange colorations, inconsistent luster, and in some rare cases, planchet defects where a blank wasn't fully formed or alloyed correctly before being struck, resulting in coins with pits, striations, or discolorations that are 100% mint originating but easy to confuse with damage unless carefully examined. And these planchet flaws, when authenticated, can significantly boost the coin's desirability among era collectors who value rarity, origin, and visual appeal. And it's not uncommon to see these combined with other flaws like die polishing lines, which appear when mint workers attempt to clean or reuse a die, leaving fine, consistent lines across the surface of a coin, often mistaken for post-mint scratches but in fact a legitimate error that ties directly into the production story of the coin. And this production story is exactly what makes the 2002 D penny so collectible, because each era coin is a historical snapshot of a moment when something went wrong, or unexpectedly right, within the mint, capturing forever the intersection of human oversight, machine limitations, and the sheer volume of coinage produced that year. And when you realize that billions of coins were minted, yet only a tiny fraction emerge with significant errors, you begin to understand the mathematics behind the value, where rarity, visibility, and market demand combine to elevate certain coins like this penny into the upper echelon of modern U.S. coinage value, and to further illustrate how significant the 2002 penny can be. Consider the numerous auction records and online listings where authenticated error coins are snapped up by collectors at premium prices, with particular enthusiasm for coins that combine two or more errors, such as an off-center strike plus doubling or a die break plus a repunched mint mark, creating a compounded rarity that often exceeds the value of the individual errors themselves. And this stacking of errors is not just rare but practically unrepeatable, since each one was a unique product of its moment, a freak combination of timing, pressure, alignment, and metal that's impossible to deliberately reproduce, and that's what turns these coins into sought after specimens, mini time capsules of numismatic imperfection. But we haven't even touched on strike-through errors yet, a fascinating subcategory of mint mistake where a foreign object, like a piece of cloth, grease, metal shaving, or even another coin fragment, gets caught between the die and the planchet, creating a ghostly imprint or hollowed-out area on the finished coin that is not only dramatic but extremely valuable, especially when the struck-through object leaves an identifiable shape or texture that can be traced back to a material used in the minting process. And in the case of the 2002 penny, these strike-through errors can be especially dramatic due to the softer zinc core of post-1982 pennies, which respond to pressure inconsistently compared to solid copper coins, often creating ripples, warps, or distortions on the coin's surface that are highly sought after by error coin specialists. And while not all errors are visible without close inspection, it's worth noting that even subtle shifts, such as a slightly tilted die resulting in uneven relief or ghost doubling, can be enough to bump a coin's value significantly, particularly if preserved in uncirculated condition or verified by third-party graders like PCGS or NGC. And it's this grading that can be the final step in turning your pocket change find into a high-value collector's item. Because a coin with errors that's also graded MS65 or higher instantly attracts a different caliber of buyer, often driving the price beyond $96 into triple digits, especially when listed in specialized auctions or on marketplaces frequented by seasoned collectors. And while you might think these coins are impossible to find, the truth is that many have been discovered in everyday circulation, roll hunts, or inherited coin jars, reminding us all that treasure is often hidden in plain sight, and with a trained eye. A simple penny can become a prized artifact, a reminder that even the smallest denomination can carry immense history and unexpected worth, and that's why the 2002 Lincoln 1 cent remains one of the most exciting and valuable coins for modern collectors to pursue, a coin that turns mistakes into masterpieces, a testament to the unpredictability of the minting process, and a shining example that even in a world of machines and automation, human error, chance, and imperfection continue to create stories worth far more than a single cent. So always check your change, examine your rolls, and look closer at every coin you come across, because the next $96 penny could be hiding in your pocket right now. And if you've enjoyed this deep dive into the mysteries and value of the 2002 penny and want more detailed breakdowns of rare coins and the incredible mistakes that make them valuable, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more weekly numismatic explorations, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a chance to discover the next big money coin hiding in your collection. Next, 2018 1 cent coin. We're diving deep into a fascinating example of such treasure, the 2018 1 cent coin, a penny that may seem ordinary to the untrained eye but has stunned collectors and experts alike by fetching values as high as $24 due to a unique combination of mint errors, striking anomalies, and rare production circumstances that elevate it far beyond its modest face value. And by the time we're done today, you'll never look at your pennies the same way again, because buried in the story of this coin is a lesson in numismatic curiosity, federal mint precision, or imperfection, collector demand, and the intricate interplay between mechanical processes and historical context that can turn a single cent into a small fortune. So if you're holding on to a jar of pennies from the past decade or so, especially from 2018 and marked with the D for the Denver Mint. You're going to want to hear every detail of what to look for, how to identify the valuable mistakes, and why. Certain errors can skyrocket the value of what was supposed to be a mass-produced, practically worthless coin to something that buyers on eBay and auction houses are willing to pay 24 times its face value or more. And to begin with, let's talk about what makes the 2018 D penny stand out, because this isn't your average Lincoln Shield cent. Despite being part of the modern era of pennies that began in 2010 with the redesign from the Lincoln Memorial to the Union Shield, a change that symbolized national unity and harkened back to Civil War-era motifs, and while millions upon millions of these coins were produced at the Denver Mint, it's within those massive production numbers that errors become both inevitable and paradoxically rare, because not all errors are created equal and not all mistakes make a coin valuable. Only those that are unusual, clear, and sought after by collectors can elevate a coin's value significantly, and the 2018 D penny has shown up with an astonishing range of such errors, from off-center strikes, die cracks, die chips, and misaligned dies, to double die obverse and reverses, plating bubbles, and even rare transitional anomalies caused by the complexities of modern minting. And let's break these down, because knowing exactly what these errors are and what they look like is the key to spotting them in your own change. So starting with off-center strikes. One of the more visually dramatic errors, these occur when the planchet, the blank metal disc that becomes the coin, isn't properly aligned under the coining press, resulting in a coin where part of the design is missing or shifted, and the value of such an error depends on how far off-center the strike is, with errors that show at least 50% of the design displaced while still retaining a clear date and mint mark being especially desirable. And some 2018 D cents have been found with such misalignments, sometimes as much as 75% off-center, which not only makes them rare, but highly collectible. Then there's the issue of die cracks and die chips, which happen when the steel dies used to strike the coins start to wear out or fracture due to the high-pressure environment of mass production, and on the 2018 D penny, these cracks often appear on Lincoln's head, in the fields, or near the shield lines on the reverse, and one particularly known error is the so-called spiked head die crack that makes it look as though Lincoln has a spike or horn protruding from his skull, an odd and eerie visual anomaly that, while the result of metal stress and die fatigue, is precisely the kind of visual oddity collectors love to chase because it adds personality and uniqueness to an otherwise standardized design. And then we have the die chips, which are often mistaken for die cracks but are instead small blobs of extra metal that appear on the surface due to breaks in the die cavity. And these can show up in Lincoln's eyes, nose, or beard, or on the shield's horizontal lines, and collectors refer to particularly noticeable ones as cuds, especially when they appear near the rim and interrupt the coin's border or lettering, and even small chips, when located in unusual spots, can raise the value of a coin significantly, especially when they're part of a known pattern or recurring defect that makes it into multiple examples, a phenomenon known as a retained die break pattern. And the 2018 D penny has several known die chip varieties cataloged by numismatists and error coin experts, making it a fruitful year for penny error collectors. And speaking of doubling, no discussion of error coins would be complete without mentioning doubled dies, which occur not during the striking of the coin but rather during the creation of the die itself, when the hub impresses the design onto the die multiple times in slightly misaligned positions, resulting in a coin that shows doubling in the letters, numbers, or design elements. And while true doubled dies are less common than many might think, they are also among the most valuable, especially when visible without magnification. And for the 2018 D penny, reports of doubling in the date, the word liberty, and even in parts of the shield have surfaced, with some examples commanding impressive premiums on auction sites. And there's also machine doubling to be aware of, which is more common and less valuable. It occurs when the coin shifts slightly during the strike, creating a shelf-like doubling that lacks the rounded, raised appearance of a true doubled die. But for the trained eye, knowing the difference is critical. And then there's the fascinating issue of plating problems, which have become more prominent in modern pennies due to their zinc core with a thin copper plating, a change that occurred in 1982 as a cost-saving measure, and sometimes this plating doesn't adhere properly, resulting in bubbles, peeling, or discoloration. And 2018 D pennies with noticeable plating bubbles, especially if they occur over key features like Lincoln's profile or the shield emblem, are collectible, with some buyers willing to pay significant premiums for clean examples with well-formed and unpopped bubbles. And let's not forget about misaligned dies and rotated dies, which happen when the obverse and reverse dies are not properly positioned relative to each other, leading to coins where the two sides are not in standard alignment. Usually, when you flip a US coin top to bottom, the other side should appear upright, but in rotated die errors, the reverse may appear sideways or even upside down, and collectors find this fascinating because it shows a clear breakdown in the quality control process and creates coins that are functionally unique, and several 2018 D1-cent pieces have been reported with significant die rotation, some up to 90 degrees, which dramatically boosts their value. And adding even more intrigue to the 2018 D penny is the existence of strike-through errors, where foreign materials like grease, string, or even other metal fragments interfere with the strike, leaving behind ghostly impressions, missing details, or deformed areas of the coin, and because strike-throughs are unpredictable and often result in bizarre or artistic patterns, they are considered one-of-a-kind pieces and often find enthusiastic buyers willing to pay top dollar depending on the visibility and uniqueness of the error, and in rare cases, multiple errors can occur on a single coin, such as a double die combined with a strike-through or an off-center strike combined with a die chip, and when such combinations occur on a 2018 D penny, the value can multiply exponentially, turning a coin that might be worth $5 on its own for a single error into a $24 specimen or more due to the rarity of combined anomalies, and when you factor in condition, another key determinant of value, the stakes get even higher, because while many errors are valuable regardless of where those found in mint state, especially in grades MS63 or higher, can command exceptional prices because they show the error in its clearest, most pristine form, and collectors and grading companies alike have started tracking 2018 D errors with growing interest, especially as more examples continue to surface from circulation, roll hunts, and bank box searches. And social media platforms like Reddit and Facebook groups dedicated to coin roll hunting have seen a steady stream of user-posted finds of these error coins, suggesting that while they are not common, they are out there waiting to be discovered, and that discovery process itself is part of what makes these coins so exciting, because you don't need to be a millionaire or have a connection at the mint to find one, you just need curiosity, a magnifying glass, and a sharp eye. And with millions of 2018 D pennies still in active circulation, the potential to find a valuable error is real and accessible to anyone, and that sense of democratized treasure hunting is exactly what fuels the modern coin collecting movement and keeps people searching, learning, and sharing their finds. And as we wrap up, remember that the story of the 2018 D penny is more than just a tale of mistakes. It's a story about how even in the hyper-automated, industrialized world of modern minting, human error, mechanical fatigue, and the occasional quirk of metal and pressure can produce something uniquely valuable and surprisingly artistic, a tiny artifact that bridges the gap between commerce and craftsmanship. Last, today, we dive deep into the riveting tale of the 1989 1-cent coin, a coin that many pass by without a second glance, yet it harbors an astonishing worth of up to $171 due to a combination of remarkable minting errors, overlooked anomalies, and rare die mistakes that make this penny a standout collector's dream. So if you've ever wondered how a coin with a face value of merely 1 cent could skyrocket in value to hundreds of dollars in the eyes of numismatists and treasure seekers alike, then you're in for an eye-opening journey into a story that not only adds depth to the world of coin collecting but also highlights the importance of minute details and historical mishaps that often go unnoticed, because the 1989 1-cent coin represents far more than a simple piece of currency. It encapsulates a slice of minting history, a cascade of human and mechanical errors, and a collector's dream wrapped into a small copper-plated zinc disc that might just be sitting unnoticed in your change jar or buried in the recesses of your wallet. and to truly appreciate why this coin has reached such impressive valuations, one must understand the complexity of the U.S. Mint's processes during the late 1980s, a transitional period characterized by evolving technology, shifting die engraving techniques, and variations in quality control protocols which together created a perfect storm for oddities. Meaning that the 1989 penny emerges from this backdrop not as a mundane coin but as a surprising artifact shaped by the quirks of mass production and the nuances of industrial imperfections, and among the most prominent and valuable errors found in 1989 1-cent coins is the doubling error, often manifesting in a form known as a doubled die, where due to misalignment during the die creation process, details on Lincoln's bust, the date, or the motto, "In God We Trust," appear twice or even slightly shadowed, leading to a doubling effect that, when visible to the naked eye, dramatically increases the coin's desirability, and this particular error, known as a double die obverse or DDO, is highly sought after, particularly if the doubling is strong and affects key features like Lincoln's eye, the word liberty, or the numbers in the date 1989. As collectors and grading institutions often assign premium grades and values to these pieces, especially when they are in mint state condition with full red luster, which brings us to another essential value factor, the coin's surface color designation, where coins that retain their original bright red color due to minimal oxidation are graded higher than those that have dulled to brown or red-brown tones, and when this red color is combined with errors like off-center strikes, where the coin's design is visibly shifted due to improper alignment during the striking process, it adds to the coin's uniqueness and rarity, making such examples even more attractive at auctions and collectors' markets. And speaking of off-center errors, some 1989 pennies have been found with dramatic misalignments, sometimes ranging from 5% to 60% off-center, with the highest values attached to those where the date remains visible, because collectors prefer error coins that are not only flawed but also still identifiable in terms of year and mint mark, and the presence or absence of the mint mark is another crucial identifier. With 1989 pennies minted in Philadelphia typically bearing no mint mark, while those from Denver carry a D. Yet there have been cases where weak strikes or grease-filled dies have caused partial or completely missing mint marks, another error category that sparks collector interest. And when these missing mint marks are found on high-grade coins with no post-mint damage, they can command significant premiums. And then there are die cracks and die breaks, small but impactful features that arise when the die itself begins to wear or fracture, leading to raised lines or blobs of metal on the finished coin. Particularly dramatic die breaks, sometimes called cuds, where a portion of the design appears obscured by an unintentional raised area, are rare and eye-catching, adding uniqueness to a coin that might otherwise be considered ordinary, and such errors are even more valuable when they intersect with other mistakes. For example, a doubled die coin that also exhibits die cracks or cuds becomes a compound error piece, and these multi-error coins are especially scarce, drawing the attention of high-end collectors and dealers who know how few of these coins exist in the marketplace. But the story doesn't end there, because 1989 was also a year that experienced transitional challenges in die maintenance and coin planchet consistency, leading to other anomalies like improper alloy mixes or plating bubbles, because the 1989 penny was struck on a copper-plated zinc planchet. Small imperfections in the plating process sometimes led to visible bubbling, peeling, or pitting on the coin's surface, conditions that not only draw scrutiny from grading professionals but also boost value when they create visually distinct patterns. And even more bizarre are the rare instances of wrong planchet errors, where a 1989 penny might have been accidentally struck on a planchet intended for another denomination or even a foreign coin, and though extremely rare, these mistakes do happen and can result in coins that are significantly underweight, made of the wrong metal, or that lack certain expected design elements due to the planchet being too small or large for the die used, and such freak occurrences often end up as prized centerpieces in error coin collections, sometimes bringing in hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the exact nature of the error and its condition. And we must also discuss the phenomenon of broad strikes, where the retaining collar that shapes the rim of the coin fails, leading to a wider, flatter coin with incomplete edge details, and when such A broad strike error affects a 1989 penny in combination with other anomalies like die doubling or planchet flaws. The resulting coin can truly be considered a minting marvel, with layered errors increasing its uniqueness and value dramatically. And of course, value is always influenced by condition and provenance. Coins that have been authenticated and encapsulated by third-party grading companies such as PCGS or NGC not only inspire buyer confidence but often sell for significantly higher prices than raw, ungraded coins, especially when the error is clearly labeled on the certification holder. And those examples that receive top designations such as MS66RD or higher are increasingly scarce, which drives demand and inflates prices accordingly. And this explains how a humble 1-cent coin can be valued at $171 or more. It's the convergence of rarity, error type, visual appeal, and collector demand that elevates its worth beyond mere face value. And with coin hunting becoming a growing hobby thanks to social media and online marketplaces, more and more people are paying attention to their spare change, hoping to find that one standout coin, and the 1989 penny, with all its quirky variations and minting mishaps, remains a standout target for those in the know. And there are even cases where certain 1989 pennies were found in original bank-wrapped rolls or mint sets showing dramatic anomalies, sparking mini frenzies in the collecting community, and adding to the lore of the coin is the fact that some of these errors were caught early and destroyed, meaning that the surviving examples are limited and getting harder to find with each passing year, making them more valuable over time. And while many 1989 pennies are still in circulation, most are common, but the rare ones, those with prominent errors, near-perfect conditions, and striking oddities, are the ones that command high prices and captivate the attention of numismatists around the world. So whether you're a seasoned coin collector or someone just beginning to explore the fascinating world of US coins, keeping an eye out for error coins like the 1989 penny could prove to be an exciting and potentially lucrative endeavor, because what appears to be ordinary may in fact be extraordinary, and with patience, knowledge, and a little bit of luck, even a single cent can tell a story worth hundreds of dollars. And if you've ever doubted the idea that pocket change could contain a small fortune, the 1989 1-cent coin is living proof that hidden gems are still out there waiting to be discovered. So keep searching, keep collecting, and who knows, your next great find might just be a small copper coin that carries a \$171 secret.